Hey everyone, my name's Alexis and welcome to class today. Today's class, you need blocks. They are required. At the very least, you need one. If you have two, that's even better. If you are lucky enough to have 4 block-like items, grab them. Today's class is all about how blocks are not just for beginners. They help you elevate your practice no matter where you are. So we're going to start in Tadasana. Bring your block in between your thighs, and I want you to squeeze the block with your thighs. Don't over squeeze your thighs, but just hold on to the block with your thighs. And that's going to form the foundation of your Tadasana. Your feet are obviously still going to be hip width apart. Your toes are going to be facing forward. You're stacking your hips over your ankles, your shoulders over your hips, and resting your hands by your sides. And we're just going to breathe here. And all I want you to focus on right now is, does your body feel any different? Now that you have a block between your thighs, you're activating those inner thigh muscles to hold the block in place. How do you feel? Maybe come back to your breath. Maybe breathe into different parts of your body. See how you're feeling today. Like I said, blocks and all yoga props really are not for beginners. They're for all of us. No matter how advanced you are, no matter what big crazy poses you can do, blocks, straps, bolsters, all of those can assist us in our yoga practice. So this is the first class in a series of yoga classes centered around props, because I love props. I use them every day, every minute of my practice. And today's class is entirely focused on ways we can use blocks to add on to basic poses that we work with every day, and also some block-specific poses. I think you're going to love it. I really enjoyed filming this one for you guys. So take just a few more deep breaths here in your Tadasana, still engaging with your thighs, still pressing down into your feet. And then bring your hands to your hips and just sink your hips down into a chair pose, chair squat. So you're going to find that you're going to grip the block even more, but also what the block allows you to do is it allows you to keep your knees nicely in line with your hips. Even when you don't have a block, this is the frame that you want your body to come to every single chair pose. No matter how strong your glutes are, no matter how strong your hamstrings are, this is what you want. You can bring your hands to heart center, or you can lift your arms up overhead, whichever is more comfortable, but keep squatting. Keep resting in that chair pose. I know it's hard. It's harder with the block, right? Inhale the arms up overhead and exhale the left arm forward and the right arm back to come into a twist. Now look down at your knees. Make sure they're nice and in line, and one isn't going further forward than the other. The block really helps with this. This causes you to twist more from your core and open up through your chest rather than twisting from your hips, which we don't really want. Inhale back to center. Take a deep breath here in your chair pose, and this time exhale the right arm forward, left arm back, twist to the left. Same thing, look down at your knees, double check that they're nice and in line. Keep breathing, you're doing amazing. I know this is a really long held squat. When I filmed this, my hamstrings were burning. You're doing amazing. Take another deep breath in, come back to center, stand up, straighten the legs, very nice. And if you're not at the top of the mat, go ahead and just waddle like I do to the top of your mat. Inhale the arms down around and up overhead. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. And for this next move, inhale into your half lift. With the block, I want you to really engage your thighs to hold the block. Lengthen through your spine so it's nice and flat. You're tucking your chin into your chest. Very nice. Exhale, fold. Remove the block. Or I guess toss it to the side like I did here. Remove the block and just set it to the front of your mat. We will use it later. And then make your way back into your downward facing dog. And you can move through a vinyasa chaturanga if you want. Otherwise, come back into downward dog. And then however you want to do this, we're going to place our block back between our thighs in downward dog. So I went down into tabletop to do that. You can just, if you've got the strength, you can just pick it up with one hand and pop it between your legs in downward facing dog. Either way, join me back in downward dog with the block between your thighs. And again, this is going to do the same thing that it did in our chair pose and our Tadasana and our halfway lift. It engages all of those leg muscles. And what that does is it turns on our entire core. So what the block allows us to do is to build up our core strength. Yoga notoriously doesn't have a lot of core exercises, but our block between our legs activates the muscles in our core, which in turn will make all of our movements in yoga and all of our movements in life stronger. It will allow us to live with less pain. It'll just allow us to live in our bodies a little bit more capably. Go ahead and set the block aside again for now, and you're going to inhale the right leg up to the sky. We're going to come into a familiar pose. Exhale the right foot between the hands and come on up into your warrior 2. Pretty familiar pose. Don't worry. We're gonna keep going here. Come into your warrior 2 and then straighten that front leg, that right leg. And from here, so in triangle pose, right, we usually bend over. We usually put our hand on our shin to hold our weight. If you have sensitive knees, not super great. This is where a block comes in really handy. The point of triangle pose isn't to get our head as close to the floor as we can. The point of triangle pose is to strengthen our oblique muscles, the sides of our core, and to lengthen through our spine. Every single yoga pose is about lengthening through the spine. So bringing the block underneath our shoulder, underneath our hand, what that allows us to do is it allows us to lengthen our spine and also practice working on strengthening our obliques. Bend that back left knee, and we're going to hop forward into our half moon pose. This is another one that people don't usually use blocks for, but I always teach half moon with a block. Because if you don't have a block, usually what you're doing is you're bringing your spine into a funky kind of tilt. If you bring your block underneath your shoulder, like we are here, and if you fall out, that's totally fine, just like I just did. If you bring your block under your shoulder, like I am here, not only does that provide you a little extra stability, but it also enables you to keep your spine nice and long. Come back into warrior 2, windmill the arms down into runner's lunge, and make your way back into downward facing dog. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. So lift the left leg up to the ceiling, exhale the left foot between the hands, and come up into warrior 2. And if you want to bring your block by your left foot, go ahead. Beautiful. Take a breath in your warrior 2. Make sure your alignment's right, heel to arch alignment. And then straighten that left leg, bring the left hand to the inner thigh and slide the hand down until you feel your obliques kind of start to work. So you don't want to just collapse your rib cage towards the mat in triangle. You want to engage your abs, the sides of your body, the sides of your torso, and having the block under your hand really helps you to do this, especially if you don't quite have that oblique strength built up yet. Also, it just keeps your spine nice and long, puts a little less pressure on your hips and your knees, which is a win, especially as you age. We want to put as little pressure on our joints as we age, right? Bend the right leg, hop forward into your half moon pose. So the block is under your left hand, underneath your left shoulder. You're opening up your hips to the ceiling. You're flexing that right foot and lifting that leg as much as you can. And also keeping your spine in line with your leg here in half moon also encourages you to engage your obliques more, which is also great. Drop that back leg back into warrior 2, windmill the arms down to the mat, and come back into downward facing dog. Very nice. Inhale the right leg to the sky. Exhale, plant the foot between the hands, and we're going to come into runner's lunge. Now, if you have 2 blocks, this is where I want you to grab them. We're going to bring the blocks underneath our shoulders, press into the blocks. And again, what this enables you to do in a runner's lunge is create length in the spine. This is what we always go for in yoga. We're trying to create space. We're trying to create length all up our torso so that we can breathe, right? Go ahead and straighten that right leg to come into your wide-legged pyramid pose. This is another one where the blocks are really handy because not everybody can reach the ground here. And that's not an ability thing. That's an anatomy thing. Bend the left leg and just hop the foot in about a foot, coming into your more standard pyramid pose. Here, the blocks under your shoulders help you keep your spine nice and straight, almost like you're in a halfway lift, which if you want to work on strengthening your body rather than getting flexibility, that's a great way to do pyramid pose. From here, bring your blocks forward a little bit more, lift the left leg, flex the foot, and come into your assisted warrior 3. You If you can do a warrior 3 without blocks, whether or not you can do that is not an indicator of whether you are not an advanced yogi. Go ahead and drop the left foot back to the mat into your runner's lunge again. Place the blocks at the front of the mat and step back into your downward facing dog. Don't worry, I'm going to revisit that advanced yogi idea in just a minute. Walk out your downward dog, lift your left leg up to the ceiling. Exhale, left hand between your feet. Grab your blocks, place them underneath your shoulders. Press into the blocks, lengthen through your spine. Press into the mat with your feet, lengthen through your legs. Again, what this does is blocks lift the floor to us. So anatomically, some people are going to have longer or shorter arms, or longer or shorter legs, or longer or shorter torsos. And just because you can't reach the mat doesn't mean you don't have poor flexibility. It might just mean you have something that's a little shorter or longer than someone else. Straighten the left leg, come into your wide-legged pyramid pose. You can always adjust the blocks as you need to. They have 3 heights for a reason. You can always get creative, and you can also always stack blocks. Sometimes that helps too. Bend into the right knee and hop the right foot forward about a foot to come into your more standard pyramid pose, where your feet are about 3 feet apart. Blocks still underneath your shoulders. Lengthening through the spine, just like in a halfway lift. And then walk the blocks forward again, just a little bit, and lift the right leg behind you to come into your warrior 3 with blocks under your hands. Again, what this does, so whether or not you can do a warrior 3 without blocks is not an indicator of if you're an advanced yogi. What blocks under your hands do in warrior 3 is it allows you to engage your core and work on strengthening your legs rather than your balance. Some people are just really good at balance. Good balance is not an indicator of an advanced yogi. An advanced yogi is someone who knows their body, knows their capabilities, and also knows if they need to work on flexibility, if they need to work on strength, whatever that is. So blocks under your hands in warrior 3 enable you to build strength rather than balance. Let that right leg fall back to the mat in your runner's lunge and make your way back into downward facing dog. You're doing amazing. I know we're moving quickly. I hope your heart's pumping. This one was a workout for me when I filmed it. Take a few breaths in your downward dog. Maybe bend one knee and then the other. And then come up onto your tippy toes and either jump forward to land on your bum or just step forward and come to a seat. Set one block aside for now. Grab your second block, if you have one, and place it between your thighs. And we're going to come into boat pose with the block. Again, the block's doing the same thing here that it did in chair, in Tadasana. It's engaging your glutes, engaging your hamstrings, and helping you engage your core even more. Boat pose is one of the main core poses that we have in yoga. And so adding a block makes your entire core from your ribs down really work. Okay, release it. You did amazing. Keep the block between your thighs. Come to lie down on your back. And we're going to work through a little bit of bridge work with the block between our thighs. Go ahead, set up your feet, hands by your sides, take a deep breath in, and lift your hips up to the sky, gripping the block. A very common cue I use in bridge pose is to look down at your knees and make sure they're in line with your hips. We never want our knees to flay out like a butterfly. We want our knees to always be in line with our hips. And what the block helps us do is engage our inner thighs, which are a notoriously underused muscle. The block, again, like I've said this whole class, engages our whole core. And what that does is it adds extra strength to our knees. Beautiful. Great hold. Go ahead and keep yourself in a bridge, grab the block, pull it out from between your legs, and I just want you to slide it underneath your sternum. Now we're getting into our block required poses. So this is a restorative bridge. You can have it on the lowest setting or the second setting. I prefer it on the second setting. And this is a supported bridge pose. Bridge pose is a very gentle inversion. If poses like downward dog, forward folds are hard for you because being upside down is uncomfortable, this is a very gentle, supported inversion. It's also a really great release in your low back if you have low back pain. A supported bridge, just like this, where we have the block underneath our sacrum, which is our tailbone, basically, is really great for that. Just take a few more deep breaths here. If you want, You can extend your legs out long, like I am here. This might be a little too much on your back or your hips, and if so, that's okay. Keep your knees bent. You're still getting the same benefits. It's another common misconception about props is a lot of times people think if you're using a prop, you're not getting the full benefit of a pose. But no matter how you do a pose, if you're working within your own range of motion, we all have a unique range of motion anatomically. If you're working within that range and you are also assisting yourself and using props to engage muscles, bring the floor closer to you, what that does, it creates body awareness, for one, but it's also knowing yourself. And knowing your body is what actually fully creates an advanced yogi. Go ahead and bend your knees if they were straight out. Lift the hips a little bit just to slide the block out from underneath you. Lower your hips to the mat and hug your knees into your chest. Very nice. Beautiful. And then just rock and roll yourself all the way back up to a seat. And we're going to finish class with a long held yin pose or restorative pose. This is fish pose. You can do fish without blocks. I have always found it rather uncomfortable. So I love a block supported fish pose, which is what we're doing today. You're going to set the blocks up in a T shape. So one is going to be parallel to the short edge of the mat. The other is going to be perpendicular, kind of long ways. You want to lay down on the long waist block. So it kind of lines up with if you wear a bra, where your bra strap is, but just your mid back, kind of just beneath your shoulder blades. Your shoulder blades are going to flow across it, kind of fall across the block. And then the second block is going to be supporting your head. You might need to wiggle around the blocks, figure out kind of how they fit in your body. This is going to be different for everybody. When you find a comfortable spot, you can keep your knees bent with your feet planted on the floor. You can come into Supta Baddha Konasana with the soles of feet together, legs out in your reclined butterfly. Or you can extend your legs long, feet as wide as the mat, just like we do in Shavasana. And you're going to be here for about 3 minutes. So if at any point it gets uncomfortable, just very gently use your core to lift yourself out, move the blocks, and come into a regular Shavasana. Otherwise, like I said, we're going to be here for about 3 minutes. So close your eyes, relax, take a breath. You did a lot of hard work today. And I'll see you on the other side of Shavasana. Go ahead and wiggle your fingers and your toes. Take deep, belly-filling breaths to wake yourself up out of your Shavasana. Like we always do, make gentle circles with the wrists and the ankles. And then to come out of fish pose, if you aren't out already, bend your knees, plant the feet on the floor, engage through your core, tuck your chin into your chest, and use your arms to very gently roll yourself up to a seated position. Cross your legs in front of you, rest your hands on your thighs. Just take one deep breath in, the deepest breath you've taken all day today. Deep breath in. Exhale it out like a sigh. Very nice. On your next breath in, lift the arms up overhead. Exhale the hands to heart center. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. You did amazing today. We went through a lot of different poses, a lot of different ways to use blocks, but I hope you can take this into your other classes with me or with other teachers and incorporate it into building your strength, building your flexibility, and also building your own body awareness. That's the true treasure of what yoga props do. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a like, give it a thumbs up. If you are not a subscriber, I would love to have you. I post new classes every Thursday. And until next time on the mat, have a lovely rest of your day. Bye for now.